My name is Bishop E.W. Jackson, chairman of Ministers Taking a Stand, with a message to Christians in the black community. It is time to end the slavish devotion to the Democrat Party. They have insulted us, used us, and manipulated us. They have saturated the black community with ridiculous lies. Unless we support the Democrat Party, we will be returned to slavery. We will be robbed of voting rights. The Martin Luther King holiday will be repealed. They think we are stupid and that these lies will hold us captive while they violate everything we believe as Christians. The Democrat Party has created an unholy alliance between certain so-called civil rights leaders and Planned Parenthood, which has killed unborn black babies by the tens of millions. Planned Parenthood has been far more lethal to black lives than the KKK ever was. And the Democrat Party and their black civil rights allies are partners in this genocide. The Democrat Party has equated homosexuality with being black, which is another outrageous lie. They can keep their homosexuality private. You and I cannot hide being black. I need not recount to you the painful history of slavery, Jim Crow, lynchings, and sterilizations, all because of skin color. Anyone who dares equate the so-called gay rights movement to the history of black Americans is exploiting the black community. They say opposition to same-sex marriage is the same as opposition to interracial marriage. That is an insult to human intelligence. It is a lie. No Christian should support this. Yet the Democrat Party has now declared same-sex marriage an official part of its platform. And black Christians remain in that party? The civil rights establishment has embraced the lies and betrayed the black community and God Almighty for 30 pieces of silver from the Democrat Party. We as Christians ought to know better. Shame on us for allowing ourselves to be sold to the highest bidder. We belong to God. Our ancestors were sold against their will centuries ago, but we're going to the slave market voluntarily today. Yes, it's just that ugly. What do you call it when Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins and my sins and paid the price for our freedom, and you join in covenant with a political party that doesn't even want God mentioned in their platform and gets offended at the very mention of Jesus' name? If your pastor tells you to vote for a party that disrespects Jesus, you need to leave that church. Black pastors are also going to have to answer for whether they serve Jesus or the Democrat Party. The black community will never prosper by betraying God and following leadership that curries the favor of the Democrat Party. It is time for Christians to have the faith and courage to refuse to associate with a political party that has over the years become anti-Christian, anti-church, anti-Bible, anti-life, anti-family, and anti-God. The Democrat Party is also becoming increasingly anti-Israel. And God said, I will curse those that curse Israel. Do you want to be cursed with them? It is time to come out of the Democrat Party and to refuse to support its candidates in their rebellion against God. It's not about party, but principle. It's not about race, but righteousness. And you will stand before God to give an account for your choices and motives. We don't need the Democrat Party or any party. We need God. God will take care of us. It's been a long time coming, but the time has come to take a stand. Come out from among them. Exodus now.
I think that's the longest uninterrupted clip we've ever played.
There's nothing really to say about that.
No.
Except, no. Boom.
25, 20, 30% are hardcore racists. They do not want to see brown people coming into America. That's just what's going on here.
If you vote for Trump, then you, the voter, you, not Donald Trump, are standing at the border like Nazis, going, you here, you here. And I think we now have to flip it. And it's a given the evilness of Donald Trump.
Are they just the most stoic human beings? Are they numb? Are they dead inside?
We can't just do rallies. We have to fight back. There will be casualties on both sides.
Anybody who votes for and supports a racist is a racist. You are culpable, white America. I'm sorry. If you hold down the woman while the rapist is raping her, and you didn't rape her, are you a rapist?
Tens of millions of people
voted for him after he showed his cards for years.
But are you, are you suggesting that they're racist, or
yes.
The people who vote, all the people who voted for Donald Trump are racist?
Yes.
Those people who are supporting what he's doing here are racist, period.
They should not be non-confrontational.
And so these policies that this administration is putting forth are intentionally cruel. They are racist, and it is our job as citizens to speak out against that. Now, does that mean that we're going to be violent? No. But does that mean that Sarah Sanders can have a nice, quiet dinner with her family when she's taking our tax dollars to implement this policy? I don't think so.
They're not going to be able to go to a restaurant. They're not going to be able to stop at a gas station. They're not going to be able to shop at a department store. The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them.
But you guys were involved with Being Patriotic, right?
Very, very patriotic, but not...
Being Patriotic was the group that contacted and helped organize some of these activities that you posted on your own Facebook account.
Those were legitimate.
Those were Russians.
Thank you for calling the Red Hen Restaurant. If you are a Trump supporter, if you voted for Trump, or if you even smell like a Trump supporter, we will throw you out on your butt like we did Sarah Sanders.
Kristen Welker, how do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Certain individuals and institutions, we will, as per Chief Jim Hopper, punch some people in the face when they seek to destroy the meat and the disenfranchised and the marginalized. And we will do it all with soul, with heart, and with joy. We thank you for this responsibility. Thank you.
This economy is going pretty well. I feel like the bottom has to fall out at some point. And by the way, I'm hoping for it, because I think one way you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy. So please, bring on the recession. Sorry if that hurts people, but...
All right, go.
I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
Martin Luther King Jr. was a human being, and he was imperfect. He was conflicted, but his love was unchallengeable.
We have an opportunity to inject morality in the veins of our civilization.
We were trying to redeem the soul of America from racism, war, and poverty.
We're dealing with issues that will call for a restructuring of American society.
The most difficult time of his life was the 18 months before his assassination.
I will continue to preach nonviolence.
I do not know that everything that Martin said or did, he was quite prepared for.
In the middle of all that was the rising of the Vietnam War.
Dr. King made the decision that he had to be against the war.
These people are damning me when I say you ought to be nonviolent toward little brown children in Vietnam. Stick with civil rights!
He said, my friends are turning on me.
He was devastated.
Do you fear for your life? It isn't so important how long you live. The important thing is how well you live.
Attacks and the criticisms on him were getting more and more vicious.
I'm gonna march if the spirits say march.
The FBI was constantly investigating King.
We will not tolerate lowest.
I'm gonna march if the spirits say march.
Dr. King looked me straight in the eye and said, if you can't drive, you run.
If the spirits say march.
You can't run, you walk.
I will march, oh Lord.
Can't walk, you crawl.
I'm gonna march if the spirits say march. If the spirits say march. If the spirits say.
But keep moving forward.
March if the spirits say march.
To do that is to stop talking about discrimination and start talking about the nation.
Don't you dare talk to me like that. No, I do not yield, not 1 second to you.
To say that somehow what we do is we prey on non-white people is incredibly divisive. It's not who we are as a country. And if we continue down this path, this cancer that's working its way through our society and breaking us down as a people, it is absolutely, you can't talk that way. And if words matter, and they truly do matter, what are we doing to ourselves and what are we doing to our country?
And back and forth it went. Congressman Mike Kelly and Representative Maxine Waters, and then a heated exchange on the House floor, and all over perceived racism when it came to auto lending. The niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Alveda King, here to respond to all of that. Alveda, you've seen these type of arguments ensue on both sides in the past, dating back to your father's time and your uncle's time, and it continues. But the racial term, the fact that someone could be questioning legislation not on a racial ground but on a merit ground, I think that was Congressman Kelly's point of view. Congressman Waters not hearing anything of it. What did you make of it?
Neil, thanks for this opportunity. It's such a key point right now at this time in history. Congressman Waters is on the wrong frequency, the skin color thing, trying to equate a person's skin color to their race, so to speak. And Congressman Kelly is actually right when he's saying, look, the nation needs help. The nation is in trouble. Here you are playing the race card again. And, you know, my uncle, Martin Luther King Jr., since you mentioned him, Neil, he said we must learn to live together as brothers, and I'll add as sisters, or perish together as fools. Well, the only way we're going to do that is to get past that skin color argument. You know, our blood is red. We're made of one blood. Of one blood, God made all people to live together on the face of the earth. And instead of calling us to get along as brothers and sisters, Congressman Waters is honestly playing the race card again. Low frequency, ma'am, low frequency. Skin color does not the person make. It's just part of the human composition. She knows that. And so in order for us to come together, and we can't be colorblind either because we are created in living color. The color does not make our race. We are one human race. Congressman Waters knows that, but here she is with the race card. Now, I have had some people of various skin hues say to me when I was in Washington, D.C., they'd walk up to me and say, this administration's doing a good job. I can get a mortgage now. My mother can move in with me. More people are really working across the board, regardless of skin color. The job market is up. The unemployment rate is down. And then Congressman Waters probably screaming and hollering about the welfare issue, too. But now Americans are getting opportunities to go back to work, to still get assistance, but to participate in the community without having to commit crimes and do that kind of thing, without dropping out of school so much. She knows this, so she's playing the race card. She does it well, you have to admit that, but she's playing the race card.
Well, she is also claiming, Alveda, and it's always in the eye of the beholder, that, and some of her critics have said she's playing a decades-old, game here.
It is a fact that for 54 years, we have been voting for the Democratic Party like no other race in America. And they have not given us the same loyalty and love that we have given them. We as black people have to re-examine the relationship where we're being pimped like prostitutes. And they're the big pimps pimping us politically, promising us everything, and we get nothing in return. We got to step back now as black people and say we got to look at all the parties and vote our best interest. Barack Obama, our president, served 2 terms. The first black president ever. But did our condition get better? Did financially, politically, academically, with education in our community, did things get better? Are our young people working more than what it was before they came into office?
It got worse.
The condition got worse.
We are at the pro-Trump rally in Berkeley. I'm here with Jaden. How you doing, brother? What are you out here for? I'm here for Trump.
Could you just tell us a little about what happened here?
So I went out to have a conversation, had my Make America Great hat and my Trump flag and my Stop Liberal Intolerance. You might disagree whether or not he's honest. I think he says what comes there. There goes a punk who stole my hat, right? So we got these thieves over here. I'm gonna go try and find this guy. You don't want me to get my hat back? Guys, these are the fascists here that call the right the fascists. They steal your hat. They steal your hat. Stop stealing. Watch yourself. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you get. You get punched in the face by cowards. You get hit in the head by cowards. You hit people in the back of their head when they're not looking. You guys are cowards. You guys are cowards. What's that? Well, it doesn't justify it, does it? Does it justify it? Is this justified? Is this what the left believes in? It's justified. This guy, is this justified? Look at this. Look at this. That's what you hit me in the head with a stick from behind. You hit me in the head with a stick from behind. You guys are cowards. You guys are cowards. You guys are cowards. Hey, back up. This motherfucker keeps hitting people in the head with sticks. There. You're a f***ing coward. I got your face. I got your face.
You're the Nazis!
That's what you get, guys. This is what you get. This is what liberal tolerance does to you right there. Hey Dad, yeah, I'm good. But that's liberal tolerance for you. These guys are out there, saying that Trump's a fascist, and this is what they do. They come from behind, hit you in the head with a stick, and hit you.
Show in their mouth. Your mouth.
Anyways, just want to let you guys know I'm all good. Went back into the crowd and got some video with some of the guys out here standing up to them. Bottom line is it's time to stand up to this nonsense. Whoever you are, wherever you're at across this country, it's time to stand up. These guys are cowards. They try to intimidate people, but we're not going to be intimidated. I don't stand for everything Trump stands for, but I stand for truth and I stand for liberty. And I stand for freedom, and I stand with the people that fought for this country to make us safe.
Show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. We've got to get the children connected to their parents. The children are suffering.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
Why are you separating families? Huh? Why are you separating families? Why are you separating families?
Why did you leave my husband alone?
Why are you separating families?
Why did you leave my husband alone?
I'm not trying to disrespect you, but why is he separating families?
He's not.
I'm not trying to
Back up.
I'm not trying to disrespect you. He's separating families. He's separating forces.
You just
No. How does he sleep at night? How does he sleep at night? It is not a legal assignment. How does he sleep at night? It is not a legal assignment.
People with cancer. Horrible person. What would Mr. Rogers think about you and your legacy in Florida? Taking away health insurance with people with pre-existing conditions, Sam Bondi. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame! 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 Shame!
Shame! Shame! Shame! Shame! Vote you out!
Where are the babies,
Vote you
bitch?
out! Vote you out!
Yeah.
Vote you out! Vote you out! Vote you out!
Turtle head.
Vote you out! 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 What are you doing to get the babies back?
Yeah, we know where you live too, bitch. We know where you live. Yeah. We know where you live, Mitch.
I think it's sad the situation and where politics have gotten. Look, we live in an amazing country, and certainly people should be free to disagree, but I think that we can do that in a way that is much nicer, that doesn't call for people to never be able to step foot in public.
Right.
I'm going to continue to do my job to the very best of my ability. I'm going to continue to always treat people with respect, and I think it's a sad day in America when Democrats' only message is to attack people that support this president and support this country and that are here working hard every single day to try to make it better. We show up with that goal in mind, and I think, frankly, if Democrats started thinking about it the same way we are, they'd be a lot better off. But I think that it's honestly a sad day in America for Democrats and the Democrat Party, that their only message is one of intolerance and one of attacking people who love this country and are trying to do good things for it.
It does not apply to anyone who might come to America illegally in the future. It does not grant citizenship or the right to stay here permanently or offer the same benefits that citizens receive. Only Congress can do that. All we're saying is we're not going to deport you. I know some of the critics of this action call it amnesty. Well, it's not. Amnesty is the immigration system we have today. Millions of people who live here without paying their taxes or playing by the rules, while politicians use the issue to scare people and whip up votes at election time. That's the real amnesty, leaving this broken system the way it is. Mass amnesty would be unfair. Mass deportation would be both impossible and contrary to our character. What I'm describing is accountability, a common-sense middle ground approach. If you meet the criteria, you can come out of the shadows and get right with the law. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half-century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill. I want to work with both parties to pass a more permanent legislative solution. And the day I sign that bill into law, the actions I take will no longer be necessary. Meanwhile, don't let a disagreement over a single issue be a deal breaker on every issue. That's not how our democracy works. And Congress certainly shouldn't shut down our government again just because we disagree on this. Americans are tired of gridlock. What our country needs from us right now is a common purpose, a higher purpose.
How does Trump compare to President Obama on the issue of immigration reform? You might be surprised. Tonight, correspondent Kevin Corke takes a look from the White House.
On day one, I'm going to begin swiftly removing criminal, illegal immigrants from this country.
If his previous statements are a guide at all, Donald Trump's major speech on immigration Wednesday could turn out to be surprisingly similar to President Obama's position on the topic.
We have a lot of bad people that have to get out of this country. We're going to get them out.
That was Trump last week.
Estolia Morfin Moreno. My father was a Mexican, bracero. My mother was a Tejana, or is a Tejana. And I'm here representing my sister, Angie Morfin, whose son was murdered a block away from my mother's home 25 years ago. I don't think he was the first victim, but we're the first families to speak out in the state of California. And I also am representing the angel mothers whose children have been slaughtered and murdered in our communities, especially cities like Salinas, California, and Santa Ana, California, Salinas, an unofficial sanctuary city. Santa Ana just became an official sanctuary city. Article 4 of Section 4 of the United States shall guarantee to every state in the nation a republic form and shall protect each against evasion and domestic violence. Our beautiful children have been sacrificed at the altar of elected officials and nonprofits, as we could see how many nonprofits are making money off of our dead children. Section 8 says that we will not help illegal aliens in any way or form or encourage them to be in our cities, to be in our neighborhoods, to kill our children. We want you to stop this now. Now. I have it on good authority. Our side wins. Even with all that you have, our side wins. Because you have weeping mothers, not only in California, but throughout the United States now. It's not here, it's everywhere now. Stop trying to blare the difference between illegal and legal. There's a big difference. We're Americans. We live the American culture and we have the American spirit. We don't steal, we don't lie, and we don't take other people's things. This man that was up here crying because he was locked up or something, these mothers, these families, their children are gone forever. They're buried throughout California and the United States. Ruben was 13 years old. He was just starting. And a man grabbed him and blew out his brains. Stephen Woods was at the beach. How many of you have gone to the beach with a girl and walked the beach? And he was surrounded, and he had a paint roller plunged through his brain. 17 years old, Jamil Shaw, a dream of playing football, and he doesn't play. His dad, I'm sorry, but I have wept with these families. I have wept with these families. Drew Rosenberg, San Francisco, murdered by an illegal alien, ran over him on his bike 3 times. 3 times. But guess what? His dad was a liberal. And guess what? Now he's fighting all this mess that you guys have gotten us to. Eric Cepeda, hit by an illegal alien that was here illegally, driving illegally, and working illegally. Dominic Duran, his mother went to the Republican National Committee convention. David Marsh, he was shot, a deputy sheriff in Los Angeles. He was shot, and then the illegal alien came out and shot him again while he was laying there. Cristina Pena was 14 years old when some guy grabbed her and strangled her and threw her into a field, raining. That's where they found her body. I am a victim of illegal immigration. I was molested as a child, as I know you were, Richard. I know you were molested. How dare you side with the other side? How dare you? I was pregnant by 14. I had 5 children by the time I was 22 by an illegal alien, and I married him. So my city is a sanctuary city. I live in fear, horror, terror. I don't leave my house very often. I go to work, and I am a county government worker, 34 years. I know what social services we do. I know the cost of helping illegal aliens, foreign, unlawful foreigners. We want it stopped. Or the mothers and the fathers, the families. We are going to plaster our children's pictures all over the state, and we're going to let them know what government elected officials have let the slaughter of our children happen in California and all these cities. It's a disgrace. a total disgrace.
I must confess that I'm weak now, I'm faltering, I'm losing my courage. I can't let the people see me like this, because if they see me weak and losing my courage, they will begin to get weak. It seemed at that moment that I could hear an inner voice saying to me, Martin Luther, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth. And lo, I will be with you even until the end of the world. I tell you, I've seen the lightning flash. I've heard the thunder roll. I've felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. But I heard the voice of Jesus saying still to fight on. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. No, never alone. No, never alone. Promise never to leave me. Never to leave me alone. I'm going on in believing in him. You better know him and know his name. Know how to call his name. Don't be a fool. Recognize your dependence on God.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented. And the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefit of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
Behold, I make all things new. Former things are passed away. I'm sure that most of you have read that arresting little story from the pen of Washington Irving entitled Rip Van Winkle. The one thing that we usually remember about the story is that Rip Van Winkle slept 20 years. But that is another point in that little story that is almost always completely overlooked. It was a sign in the end from which Rip went up in the mountain for his long sleep. When Rip Van Winkle went up in the mountain, the sign had a picture of King George III of England. When he came down 20 years later, the sign had a picture of George Washington, the first President of the United States. And Rip Van Winkle looked up at the picture of George Washington, but in looking at the picture he was amazed. He was completely lost. He knew not who he was. And this reveals to us that the most striking thing about the story of Rip Van Winkle is not merely that Rip slept 20 years, but that he slept through a revolution. While he was peacefully snoring up in the mountain, a revolution was taking place that at points would change the course of history. and Rip knew nothing about it. He was asleep. Yes, he slept through a revolution. One of the great liabilities of life is that all too many people find themselves living amid a great period of social change, and yet they fail to develop the new attitudes, the new mental responses that the new situation demands. And they end up sleeping through a revolution. Now, there can be no gainsaying of the fact that the great revolution has taken place in the world today. In the sense it is a triple revolution. That is a technological revolution with the impact of automation and cybernation. Then that is a revolution in weaponry with the emergence of atomic and nuclear weapons of warfare. Then that is a human rights revolution with the freedom explosion that has taken place all over the world. Yes, we do live in a period where changes are taking place. And that is still a voice crying through the vista of time, saying, "Behold, I make all things new. Former things are passed away." Now, whenever anything new comes into history, it brings with it new challenges and new opportunities. And I would like to deal with the challenges that we face today as a result of this triple revolution that has taken place in the world today. First, we are challenged to develop a world perspective. No individual can live alone. No nation can live alone. And anyone who feels that he can live alone is sleeping through a revolution. The world in which we live is geographically one. The challenge that we face today is to make it one in terms of brotherhood. Now, it's true that the geographical oneness of this age has come to be to a large extent through modern man's scientific ingenuity. Modern man, through his scientific genius, has been able to dwarf distance and place time in chains. And our jet planes have compressed into minutes distances that once took weeks and even months. All of this tells us that our world is a neighborhood. Through our scientific and technological genius, we have made of this world a neighborhood, and yet we have not had the ethical commitment to make of it a brotherhood. But somehow and in some way we've got to do this. We must all learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish together as fools. We are tied together in the single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. And whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. For some strange reason, I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the way God's universe is made. This is the way it is structured.